Okay, well, welcome everybody. And normally we would kind of go around the room and introduce ourselves. I don't know if that's a little cumbersome for today, but I guess I'd like to know who's on site. I can see who's on Zoom, but who's actually there in the room on site?
Tanya.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Tanya.
Jim Arnold.
Sharon Fitz. And Rebecca Ferris.
Very good. Hi, everybody. And Mike, are you taking roll?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And so just want to thank everybody for coming. And, you know, as we get started here, the idea was kind of to get this ball rolling early this year with superintendents and finding out who's superintendent that's staying where they're at, maybe changing positions or replacing someone, as well as who has stepped down, what positions need to be filled. And so kind of getting that going early instead of waiting and finding out next year when we're trying to get the book in order and everything. So just want to welcome you here and get moving. So a little feedback from the fair. I know at the appreciation dinner, we didn't have all the numbers or anything, and we ran about 10% less attendance than 2019. We were at about 18.5. It was challenging to get extremely accurate numbers just due to all the technical issues we were having with our ticketing and our scanning and whatnot. It was felt more internally than externally, except that we ended up cash only in a lot of places, including at our amusements. So the ATM guy was really happy, but it was challenging at the gates. So and so that was scanning tickets that were coming in that were either pre-sold or promo tickets and VIPs that were handed out. It made it challenging to track some of those true numbers. But our best educated guess from what we sold and what we brought in and the people that were there was right around 18.5, like I said, about 10% down from 2019, but our vendors throughout the 4 days were selling out. They were extremely happy. They were doubling and tripling revenues. Some ran about the same, but several, like our shaved ice, tripled their revenue. Scone wagon sold out of scones before we closed on Sunday. That's unheard of. The lemonade stand doubled their revenue. They were kind of freaking out about, you know, a couple days in. They didn't have enough tickets for all their employees. Well, you know, I said, you have the same amount of tickets you've always had, but, you know, she evidently had more employees because they were so overrun and trying to keep up. So that was good. And so vendors being happy always makes us happy. And so income wise, we did well for having a little bit less attendance, having no carnival. That actually worked out okay. I mean, we lost revenue for not having carnival and we had to bring in amusements that cost money, but we were able to pretty much break even on the amusement side. So that is what I was hoping for at the minimum, so that we weren't spending extra basically to have amusements. So to provide it for free, that worked out. And with the ARPA money, the American Rescue Plan Act, it was able to help subsidize some of that lost income that we had. So overall, it was a great fair. It, as you know, was like drinking from a fire hose, trying to plan in 2 months what we normally do in 9 and or more. And so, but overall good. And if you guys have any other feedback from that, feel free to call me, email me with any feedback, comments, suggestions, things you would like to see changed, improved, or things that went well even. So then timeline for 22, Mike and I have been working on that. A lot of the timeline, of course, is 4-H side, but then there's quite a bit from just the fair side. Board meetings are still every second Tuesday, except for December and September. And you're welcome to join us at any time. We're primarily on site now, but we have a Zoom option each meeting. And those are at 6 o'clock on the second Tuesday. If you have any interest or know of anybody that's interested in either joining a committee to help run the fair, or I'm not talking to you guys, obviously, I'm preaching to this choir. You guys are plenty busy, but if you know anybody, maybe club members that are interested in being on the board or helping out with some of the committees, you know, we have everything from beautification, planting flowers and signage to parking lot, camping, security. There's stuff that's done primarily pre-fair. There's stuff that's primarily done at fair. So we have something for everybody. If anybody's interested, just send them my way. As far as the timeline itself, if you have something specific you'd like to know about, we can address that. Otherwise, we'll kind of get it nailed down a little better and be emailing that out to everybody. Mike, I don't know if you have anything to add about that.
Not right now.
Okay. Any questions about either the 21 fair or the 22 timeline at the moment?
Dates for fair?
Yeah, the fair dates are August 11th through the 14th for 22, and it's our 75th celebration. Call it what you will, an anniversary or an annual fair that we can do a debate on later. But we are celebrating 75 years. We're still working on a theme, and I have a meeting set up for next Thursday evening. It'll be via Zoom and in person at the fair office as well, if you're interested in helping with. It's kind of a marketing, but also a 75th celebration committee. So if you're interested in that at all, you want to just come to one meeting or you want to be in on all of it, feel free to join us next Thursday. Mike has a Zoom set up for that, and we'll send it out to all the superintendents just so you have that information, or you know anybody that's interested in jumping on that train. So we're hoping we got some extra money for our 75th. So we're hoping to beef up entertainment a little bit and bring in some extra fun, as well as beef up our marketing for that event and really try to build that as we go. So as soon as we have a theme, we'll let you know. If you have any suggestions, feel free to send them my way. Again, that Thursday meeting, we're hoping to nail down the theme. We were hoping to announce it at fair, but we were all a little overwhelmed, so we'll move forward with that. Okay, any other questions? All right. Well, let's see, the next topic, we're going to start our fair book revisions early as well. If you're there on site, Mike's got some hard copies from 21 that you can start looking at and scribbling on. Otherwise, we'll send out sections to everybody, and we're kind of giving Susan a little break in the beginning here. Teresa's going to probably be sending out those sections to you. So again, if you know somebody's new in superintendent position, or if things are switching, make sure we know who those are so we send them to the right people and get that sent out correctly. And then trying to get them back early in the year, as early as possible. I think our new kind of job description asks for it even by January. So as soon as we can start getting some revisions, because it goes back and forth a little bit, as you know, you make some corrections, we have some questions, you have some questions, and trying to get that nailed down as early as possible is imperative. Then if you have any questions about that, or we can move into fair entry changes with Mike.
Okay, I'm just trying to get Peggy Hall in. She's having issues.
Uh-oh.
So there we go.
Did she get in, Mike? She can get into my Zoom meetings just fine. So I don't know why she always has a problem with your Zoom meetings.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The extra restrictions.
I know I've been texting her all the information, but I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I just texted her. She has to have her Zoom account open and then try and get into the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know.
If your Zoom account requires that or not, but ours does.
And see, and I don't open mine personally. I just click on the link.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it works different for different people.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure what our restrictions are, but they're there.
weird.
So with fair entry is still open from last year. Your accounts are still good. If you want to go in and check your hierarchy, and if you know you have any changes, make sure they're in the fair book and make sure you get the changes to me. You don't get the changes to me, I can't put them into fair entry, and you'll get what you had last year, which is not always a good thing. If you need help getting into fair entry or you're a new superintendent, let me know. I can get you access to last year's fair entry. There are still some accounts that are good in there. If you go to the first customer or standard report tab, I'm not sure what it's called off the top of my head. There is one there that will show you any classes or lots that didn't have entries. So you can second guess if you want to have that continue, that class or that lot. Just remember that last year was a smaller fair than in the past. If you need help in fair entry, just let me know. I can give you help, or let me know what report you want. I can set it up. So that's pretty much what I have on fair entry.
Okay, and then we have our department need forms. Those we typically kind of wait to hand out as well, but we'll want to get those out sooner than later, and we'll probably, end up sending them out more than once just to make sure everybody gets them filled out. Make sure that if you're having a repair that needs to be done in the off season, that you're tagging it if it's an item so that it doesn't get stashed in the back of the barn and can get fixed or replaced and whatnot. And then if it's just an off-season repair in general or something we need to get for you, then that's fine if it's on the form. There's a form in your binder as well. And kind of on that line, if you have any thoughts or suggestions about the superintendent binders, feel free to reach out to us. We try to make them usable and practical. We don't want to give you a book full of paper for no reason. So if there's something you'd like to see in there that's not, or something that you have seen in there that you would never use, obviously, different people use different things. So we'll take that into consideration. But definitely if you're thinking it'd be really nice to have something that's not in there or would be more helpful, then let us know. Check through the forms whenever you have your binders, just because there are forms in there for comments, for suggestions, as well as your repairs, and obviously your ribbon forms and your supply forms, knowing what you used the current year and what you might need the next year or what you didn't have that you needed, or etc. So any feedback on the department needs form, and I know sometimes it can be a little confusing, so if you have questions about it, let us know and try to get that taken care of.
Shelley,
Yeah.
in the binders, I know there's a sheet that asks for hours or something that we've spent. If that could come out now, since we're already working on it, you might get it filled in. Where I know during fair, I look at that sheet and I go, I have no clue how much time I spent on it. Because we don't get our binders till that Tuesday or some a week before. And most of us have already put in countless hours.
Yeah, you start in October and not in July. Yeah, we can get that sent out. Go ahead and get that sent out now so you can use it to track. And we'll send that out with the department need form and maybe even your supply list. And
Kelly,
yes,
one reason I put the department needs in on this agenda
mhm,
was if there's anything major that needs to be done before we get there.
yes, most definitely. If you thought of something, and you hadn't written it down in your binder or on your paperwork, then let us know sooner than later so we can get it taken care of way before fair. This week, they're going to be painting the inside of the Grange building, and that's, as you can imagine, something they had to plan for. So they had to make sure when they put everything away, they kept it like 6 feet from the walls, not to social distance, but in order to get around everything to paint the walls. So they've done the repairs on them, and then they'll be painting them this week. So, things like that, we got to plan ahead. So, but if you do have something that needs to be done for the fair, and we do have the commissioner will be coming this year. And so I'm going to be sending out also a copy of the commissioner's score sheet so that you have an idea what that looks like and what we're judged on. And then you can be working toward that as well. One of the big things, and I know we've pushed it in the past, obviously 2020 and 21 were interesting years, but we want to get back to that where the signage is up, whether it's at an arena or at your building, that the signage is up and it's clear as to what's going on. If there's a demo going on, that sign needs to be up all day so that anybody walking by sees that, okay, at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a sewing demo here, or it's going to be a demo with the alpacas, or something like that. So they need to know the whole day, or even toward the evening, maybe what's happening tomorrow. Maybe it's a 4-day schedule for this demonstration stage or whatnot, so that it might encourage people to come back if they want to see the rabbits do showmanship, and so they want to be there on that day. So that's really important for the fair goer. Of course, the commissioner looks for it as well, but there's a good reason for him to look for it. It's because it helps people know what's going on, and we want them to look at the sign and like, what in the world are they doing in this arena with those cows running through obstacles, and why are they doing it? And so the schedule helps with that. And then as well as, being aware of people standing around watching with your 4-Hers and your leaders, and maybe explaining it to them. It's interesting. Some of the stuff, they don't realize what round robin is and why are there so many different animals and people that don't look like they know what they're doing. So, explaining it is interesting, and it clarifies what's happening in that area. So be thinking about the signage for your area and what that might look like. And that's also a committee if you want to help with that. So we know somebody that does.
Kelly,
Yes.
talking about signage, it just reminded me that the big dog barn signs that they put up, one on the ring and one on our barn,
Yes.
to be repainted. Is that something you guys would take care of?
Potentially. It could also be something that, the dogs could do as a project. So obviously they'd have to have supplies or some artistic skills. So, but if that's not an option, then yeah, the fair would take care of it.
Hey, Shelley,
Yeah.
regarding the sign for the lodge building, as obviously we have so many rules there, can we, instead of attempting to hang the banner, which is useless, as we all know, it just falls, and it's also spelled wrong.
Yes. I noticed that.
Can we do like the flags that stick in the ground? You always see it in front of businesses, they look like sails.
Yeah.
Can we do those maybe in front of the building instead? Because they're
That's a
easy
good
just to
idea.
stick in the ground, like out front in the little garden area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because yeah, that flag just, it just kept falling and it looked horrible the whole fair.
And it says economics.
It's missing the S is what it is. It says home economic.
And it should be home arts.
It should be home arts. And
So,
I don't know if you
exactly.
want both signs for open class and 4-H at the same end, because people tend to come in from my end versus the 4-H end, but I don't know, or have signs at both end, but definitely, I don't think they realize that 4-H is at the far side because they'll stop in our half and say, oh, I don't know if there's anything else down there. And we always are telling them, oh no, go down there. That's where all the kids' stuff is at.
Yeah, might want to hang a sign on that doorway from your side leading toward the 4-H area as well.
It would be nice if maybe I could drop a banner in somehow because the doors are open, so they really can't see. They like stop like before they ever hit the doors, thinking that there's nothing further. And I don't know if I could maybe drop a banner floating from the door frame safely or not.
Yeah.
I have to measure
we'll
the
look at
heights.
that.
You can always put up one of the A-frame boards that says more exhibits this way with an arrow.
Oh yeah,
Yes, right to the side of the door
that would
Yep.
work.
About 4 inches, that means.
frame or easel.
Yeah. We did get 2 4-H's happening here banners. They're
Okay.
4x2.
Did they go over the door?
They went over the door here. We could put that in the lodge.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can-
Or something in the foyer.
Yeah, it needs to actually, if we want to, if they're coming in my end, they really need to be in my end at the,
Right.
by the door, which isn't hard to do. And blue tape does hold really well on the wood safely because I use a lot of it in that side of the building.
Yeah, I think above your door and then once you're in the foyer above that door as well would be nice. And then a sign, maybe the A-frame would be in the foyer pointing in both directions, open glass and 4-H and
Right. And then the other comment I have, speaking of the foyer, is if the Grange people are not going to fill those cases in the foyer, that maybe they just need to go away because the entire fair is set with empty cases and a storage tub, which really looked tacky, the whole fair.
that's doable.
So it's like either get rid of them or use them.
We tried to put our stuff down there, but it was locked.
Oh,
So
The
I
building-
couldn't
the-
get into the cabinet because the cabinet was locked and nobody seemed to know where the
was.
key for it was.
That's awkward.
Yeah, all the glass shelves were in that tub,
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
couldn't,
so it
I
never
was
got
like,
taken care of.
how do I get in? Because I would have put the shelves in and put my stuff on it, but I couldn't get a key to get into it.
Good to know.
And the glass in the tubs are extra shelves. The shelves that actually went in the display cases were in the display cases. They were sitting on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we only put one in the bottom. And in the top, everything is stuck on the back. We do have the keys to that, so
Be helpful.
make sure they're there.
Technicalities, yes, those little things. Okay. Any other questions on department needs, forms? I'll circle back if you do. Next up, barn coordination and meetings. Is that Mike or Ryan, or want to keep going?
That's covered in the training.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. And then spring showcase, are we looking at doing one in May again?
Yeah.
Okay, let you take that.
Spring showcase it doesn't cost us anything. It's been relatively popular. The only thing that needs to happen is I need to know what classes and lots you want to offer. And also we need to get judges early. Because judges can start judging as soon as they get their first entries. Because they're not judged against each other. We don't do grands and reserves. So as soon as someone enters a photo, they can be judged. As soon as someone does something in the dog department, they can be judged. And they don't have to be specialty judges, they just need to be someone that knows the department, that knows what's required of that entry. It's a volunteer judge, so you can use senior members as long as you're making sure they're doing everything they need to do. You can use club leaders, you can do alumni. It's a good way for 4-H members to give back to 4-H. We also need to make sure that when they're judging, that they do put the comments into 4-H online. So the kids can go back and see what happened, why they got what they got, any improvements the judge wants them to make, so they can improve before they get to county fair. Because everything that's entered in the spring showcase can also be entered into the county fair. So, any questions on spring showcase? If not, I turn it back to, oh, I guess I'm kind of up next also. Or Shelley, did you want to take that one, or? The committees. And you're muted.
There we go.
Okay, we do have a question in the chat. Spring Showcase is a totally virtual fair. It's done through fair entry. They upload their work into fair entry. They're judged virtually in fair entry. There's no face-to-face. Anything is available. If you were here in 2020 as a superintendent, it's how we did the county fair in 2020. So everything is virtual. It's also a good time for fun classes like costume, cage display, trick dog. The horse has several that they offer that are just offered in the showcase, but they're just fun classes. A lot of it is just so the kids have something to do in the spring to get working on, so they're ready for the county fair. Also, they can enter any photos into the photo department. Whether they want to put them in the photo department at the fair or in the barns, it doesn't matter. They'll still get judged according to the photo standards, not what the barns do for photos. So they'll be able to improve their photos. Did that answer your question, Rachel? I hope. Okay, Shelley.
Yes, it seemed to. There she is. Yeah. And Laura commented that her judges had a lot of fun with it. We did have a judge last year that, and I think she was in photo, if I'm not wrong, and she had actually had some surgery, and so she was sad originally that she wasn't going to be able to help with fair, and then when it became a virtual showcase and she was able to judge it, she was really tickled, and she said it went well, she enjoyed doing it and wouldn't mind doing it again. And that year it worked really well for her because she wouldn't have been able to be on site, but she could do it from her computer.
The other thing with the Spring Showcase is different than the county fair is there's no project restrictions in the Spring Showcase. So if they have a dog at home and they want to do a dog event in the Spring Showcase and they're not in the dog project, they can do it. If they're not in the photo project, they can enter their photo. So it's a totally fun show. Okay.
Okay, so what we want to do is form 3 different committees, and the purpose of each of them is to kind of standardize and make them uniform. So there's been some, kind of discrepancies in all of these. So premium points, exhibitorship, and herdsmanship, and of course, exhibitorship is fairly new as well. But what we want to do is look at each of these separately. So we'd like to have 3 different committees, one that looks at premium points through all divisions, one that looks at exhibitorship, and one with herdsmanship, and trying to just kind of standardize it. Obviously, you know, herdsmanship, you know, you're not going to necessarily take care of the animals the same way, and there might be some fluctuation in some of the rules depending on the animals. But overall, we'd like it to be similar in scope and in points. So that one, they kind of overlap a little bit with the point system. And then exhibitorship being new, you know, there's really, you know, we've got some kind of basic rules on it, but we'd like to kind of nail that down as well as maybe modify what we did do the first couple years and what worked and what didn't. And so we'd like to encourage you each to pick one of these committees to be on and to be able to give input and help kind of standardize these areas. So I don't know how you want to work that, Mike. If you want to have people send in what they want, put it in the chat, raise their hand. Looks like
probably the easiest way is email me if you want to be on one of the committees. Shelley will be working with the committee on points. Brian will be working with the committee on exhibitorship, and I'll be working on the committee with herdsmanship. So if you email me, let me know if you want to be on one or 2 or all 3 committees. They are not meeting tonight. They'll be meeting between now and next superintendent's meeting. So it's not something we're going to do in the month of October or the month of November. Some of these may take a little bit longer. Just email me which committees you want to be on. I'll get the names to coordinated and get them on a list and get them to Shelley and Brian. And then we'll figure out when the committees will be meeting. It would be helpful if we had someone from all of the animal departments on the herdsmanship committee and all the superintendents or their assistants from the still life committees, our departments on the exhibitorship side. And then points, most of it's going to be revolving around animals. So if assistant superintendents can serve on that, that would be helpful.
So on the points, premium points committee, it's primarily animals, because I don't think that the open class home arts buildings points are out of whack at all. We revised those a while ago, but I didn't know if it was including open class or specifically just 4-H.
A lot of it is coming up from the animal departments.
Okay.
Because fitting and showmanship is standardized across the board, but type and events are not.
Yeah, and that goes to say too, that if you're looking at your section of the fair book and you see something that doesn't seem right, it's not consistent, or maybe you've got a couple departments that you're looking at and you feel like, you know, there's a big discrepancy, then feel free to bring that to my attention, even if you're not on the points committee. Definitely bring it up, because as you all know, the premium book is rather large and there are points everywhere. So we definitely, you know, have a hard time. Just ask Susan or Mike, you know, how many times we look at the book and we still find mistakes, like when we found that the FFA motto and the 4-H motto were flip-flopped in the book, and we're like, how many years has it been that way? Has anybody ever read it and noticed? So things like that, you know, they can get overlooked easily. So if you notice something, definitely bring it to the attention of whichever committee it is, whether you're on it or not. Okay. So send in those emails about the committees, and then we're moving on to training.
I've already received 1 person.
Excellent. Do we have a contest between the 3 of us who can get most people on our committee?
Yes, and then Brian buys us lunch.
We're meeting at Puerto Vallarta in the bar, so I don't know what you're doing. Okay, probably not if we're dealing with points. We're gonna keep our wits about us, all those numbers. Okay, who's setting up this training here?
You're on first.
Okay, hiring judges. Yeah, so judges, that's always a challenge each year, we come up with that, and it seems to be sometimes kind of a last minute. I know some of you work a lot of months trying to find somebody and whatnot, and so who can be a judge? It has seemed to vary in the different departments from in the animal department, some departments want them to be certified and some not so much. So, we do need to make sure the person is qualified to judge what they're judging. We want to go to the schools maybe this year, PLU and the high schools, and see if there's teachers that would be willing to come and help judge. But judging is an art, and we do need to train those that are not or have not judged 4-H, especially because there's specific rubrics that go with that. But even in the open class, there's judging sheets and forms. And so if there's somebody that's not really familiar with fair or how it's judged, then we want to make sure that we're working with them or training them ahead of time and not just kind of throwing them in the mix and hoping they do an okay job. And so we prefer them not to be necessarily related to you, but if they've gone through the process and they're qualified, it's not that they can't be, but we want to be careful that we're picking from the qualified pool of judges and making sure that that's what they're good at, not just that they want to, because they don't get rich on it. We all know that. So
yeah, and Shelley, our preference in 4-H is, since we're a large county, we can find more judges more readily. This happens more often in smaller counties where they can't avoid it. It's 4-Hers uncle being the judge. And I've dealt with and I've been called in to help with counties where there's been a lot of conflict around that, and we just want to avoid that. So I really appreciate folks working on that. But we also will find extra funds to bring a judge if it has to drive down, person has to drive from Kitsap or Thurston. We'll do that.
And we have been working on upping the judges' fees. We kind of try to do a little bit at a time, as well as kind of evening them out. It's been really kind of all over the board as far as what they get paid. And, sometimes it makes sense, you got 2 KVs as opposed to 100 rabbits, there's a little bit of difference there, but at the same time, a judge is a judge, and, they don't expect I'm going to get $5 and you're going to get 50 kind of thing. Because we don't pay them based on how many animals there are. They come and they intend to spend most of the day doing what they're doing, whether it's still live or animals. So like I say, we're trying to up what we pay them, but it's still not a lot. And we do appreciate feedback on that as well. I'm not a judge and I don't go from fair to fair judging. And so even knowing what other fairs pay, not that we can compete necessarily with all of them, but, we want to try to stay a little bit relevant. And where there's been an issue, I've had departments come to me and, say, I can't get a judge for anywhere near, what the fair is paying. And so we've tried to increase it, also encouraging them to possibly do fundraisers to help supplement it if they're looking for certified judges in different areas or they're having trouble. And contacting other fairs, whether, you ask us to help you with that, or if you have contacts at another fair, talk to them. Who are their judges? Who do they have judging? And we're looking, like I said, to go into maybe the schools and look for judges that would be teachers, that are qualified in some of those areas to possibly judge still life and animals.
What would you consider to be someone that is certified to judge?
Well, when I say certified, there is a certification that is done for certain types of judging. So animal judges can be certified. I know that, Laura, don't you have some that are certified through a process for, is it for canning or preserved foods or?
Food preservation, they have to be certified for 4-H. On the open class side, we have no restrictions, but I don't even know if we have any certified leaders for food preservation right now. I have a small list that I got from State Fair of their last training. For that, that's the biggest problem is there hasn't been a home arts official training since Susan Parr passed away.
Mhm.
And so that's been, I think it was 2012 was the last training for,
Wow.
yeah. And she did it all. I mean, she did almost all of the still life training certification, but obviously for home ec, I mean, for sewing and needle arts, some of those judges did take the training, but at this point, most of the judges that I use in open class and on the 4-H side, since I get all the judges for both sides and for fashion review, most of them haven't been through training. They have shadowed other judges. And I have done a little bit at CTA with some of the training, going over things. I was supposed to do a big training for fashion review and creative consumer, but then of course COVID hit and we haven't got that rescheduled again for them. But the hardest thing I think is the food judges, foods, baking. I mean, even on the open class side where I don't have restrictions, I do have problems finding judges because there just isn't that many who have been through our training. My current baking judge is a clothing textile advisor who happens to do a lot of baking, and she has done some judging in other places. But those are the hardest ones. The sewing ones aren't hard. They're pretty good. And if I have issues with one, I don't ask her back.
Yeah, what kind of a training is available? I mean,
That's the problem. It's whoever puts it together. I mean, Susan Parr put it together. I don't know how they did the canning one at State, who did it. I think the open class food preservation department is what put it together there a couple years ago. It was right before COVID, I think 2019. But getting the list from them was hard.
Well, maybe I'll ask them about their training for food judges and maybe other still life judges. And if we can maybe piggyback on it, get people to those.
I would think the hardest department also would be art because it's so subjective and there's so many different areas. I know they have problems because the person who judges drawings isn't necessarily going to be able to judge Legos, who isn't necessarily going to be able to judge jewelry.
Very true. So when to start looking, I would say as soon as you know your superintendent, then it doesn't hurt to start looking, start asking. Like I said, if you need some help, let us know. I'll be talking to my friends at Washington State Fair, see if maybe we can get some more lists of other types of judges even, and if they're going to do a training, see if we can join in on it. And it only helps them because if our judges, people we know, become trained, then maybe it's someone they can resource as well and kind of spread that wealth.
I can tell you on the State Fair, as far as 4-H goes, Anita has a heck of a time getting judges. She's very limited. She was asking me for judges for home arts if I had some names. And I do know that the open class sewing judges have been the same two for years. They're out of Kitsap County. So obviously they have limited pools too. I don't know.
they asked me this year if I would be a judge next year.
So it's there. I think for some departments, I don't know about the open class. It's the
Yeah.
open class arts juried, so that's different. Or some of it is, but maybe Hobby Hall has some resources for the arts and crafts section.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so sources, we'll try to find some more of those. If, like I say, if you need help, reach out. And then contracts every year, we send you out a contract. Some of you read the contract and fill it out correctly, and others fill it out and then realize you filled out something you shouldn't have. You don't want to sign it until after they judge. So the top section, you put in, who they are, their contact information so we can pay them, and then what department they're judging. Even though maybe you've talked to the judge and they know what time and you know what time, we need to know what time and how many days in order to fill out the payment section correctly. As well as we actually then mail the copy back to them once it's completely filled out, and they bring it with them. And if they're judging during fair, we send them admission tickets at that time. If they're judging during still life or whatnot, we still send them their contract with some tickets that, hopefully they'll be able to use later or share with somebody if they're not able to come back during fair. And then we feed the still life judges. I think most of them get fed. If your group's not getting fed, let me know. And then, so what we added a couple years ago was a lunch ticket for the animal judges or the judges that are at fair. So that's also something that's kind of new. So if you have a judge and they're at fair, make sure you tell them, you need to take your contract back to the office, after it's all signed, and please sign it, because otherwise I got to chase you down later and have you sign it. And so get it signed, get it sent in, and ask them to bring it into the office and pick up a lunch ticket. And if they're going to be there all day, and so the form isn't going to be signed till later, they can still stop in and get that lunch ticket. They don't have to have their contract finished to get it. Just have them check in. If they came and they forgot their contract, send them to the office, because we have a copy of all of them. And so we can give them a copy of their contract if they left it at home. Yeah, so any questions about contracts? Going.
Are we allowed, if we have, like last year, we had some extra judges come in for like our extra activities we did, are we allowed to like at least get them tickets to get in?
Yes, and especially if you have a volunteer, or maybe it's costume contests and it's not a paid position or whatnot, make sure, you get admission tickets for them either ahead of time or swing into the office. If it's during fair and you need to get them tickets, we can always send them to the gate, make sure they're clear about which gate to go to, and have them sit there at will call. Also, if they're volunteering, they still can have a lunch ticket. It's currently a $10 value, so it gets them, something to eat, gets them started for sure. If they're there multiple days, they can have one per day. So, send them in. But yeah, if they're volunteering, make sure they get admission and a meal ticket for when they're there. Because we have some positions that, people don't ask to be paid for, like maybe it's costume contest or it's cage judging or something like that. So, yeah, definitely.
And those tickets they can also get at the July superintendent's meeting.
Yes, yeah, preferably in advance at the superintendent meeting when you're picking up your stuff. Get any tickets you have for people that are doing demonstrations or they're helping you out in some area. We definitely want to take care of our volunteers, including you. So don't forget to get those for them. And if you say you're going to get a volunteer for something and you don't actually have them yet, go ahead and get a ticket so that you can, get that to them as soon as you get a hold of them and not wait.
And you can always turn them back if you don't use them.
Yes, you can always turn it back in, or, we're not opposed to, somebody else that's interested in helping with fair. Maybe it's not even in your area, but they're interested in volunteering in general. Give them a free ticket, have them come in and talk to us, and maybe they're not going to volunteer even that year, but, get them in there looking around, and we'll give them the options and have them, come hang out. If nothing else, maybe they'll come in and buy a scone and a corn dog and go on a ride.
All right, is it my turn now?
I think so.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being a superintendent or assistant superintendent. I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun, though. I enjoy seeing all that fun stuff going on. So we are redoing the job description and turning it into a job description and planning tool. So there's copies there in the meeting space. And Mike, I believe you sent it out, email. But it is going to, if you look over that and you have feedback, please email me. Give me a call. Would love to chat. But we really want to push that the essential elements are really important for our young people to have that experience at the fair. So that's added in there. Also looking at how do we do stuff year round with our young people to really get them excited about projects. It's going to be a big, very busy year this year, rebuilding back the 4-H program. And one of the ways we can do that is if there's different project areas have meetings year round. So not all of them do. And that's a new thing. So we're really encouraging that. So that's in there. And then also just assigning and getting more volunteers involved with roles at the fair. Some of the feedback we get, our parents just kind of stand around, or some of the volunteers. So we really want to get them involved, because the more people that are involved, the easier it is in the future to have them step forward and be an assistant superintendent. And there's stuff around judges. There's stuff in there about recruiting older youth to do some certain things. And then also planning cooperatively with the other superintendents in areas that you're nearby. So if you're sharing, a barn or something, how to get that happening there. So, and then, so just got stuff in there. So take a look at that and give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll do some more probably training on that. And that's what I have to report on.
And that just went out, so everyone should have gotten it if they got the email for the Zoom link.
All right, any questions for Brian on that? All right, are we on to emergency management, or there's covered all those topics really quickly, Brian? So emergency management, as we grow in size, not just the fair, but the area around the fair, and kind of in this age that we're in, when I don't know if you've been on the news much or social media, but there's just a lot going on that shouldn't be. And one of the newest ones, if you haven't heard about it, is a TikTok challenge that young people are making videos of themselves destroying things, vandalizing, stealing. They've been sledgehammering public restrooms, just being destructive. And it's apparently this challenge. And so just no regard for property, no regard for authority, and it's really sad. And so even if that weren't going on, emergency management is an important topic at the fair. And our security is, we don't hire in professional security. There may be a day and time that we need to do that, but it is extremely expensive. But, when it comes to safety, what kind of price tag can you put on that? But they have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that when it comes to an emergency, that the people in the immediate area are the people that are going to save lives. And so with that, I'd like to get into some crowd management training, because you guys are the people that are all over the grounds, and you are representing each different area and nook and cranny, and you are already kind of overseeing a group of people. And in emergencies, most people shut down, panic, don't respond appropriately. And there's about 20% that actually do something. And they've proven that by having even just one person in an area that knows what to do, that takes command of the area and What people need is to know, number one, what's happening, number two, what to do. Because they say majority of the time, people will leave the way they came. And that's not always the best way, depending on the situation. So, it may be as simple as there's, lightning outside, there's a fire, and I need everybody to go this direction or go that direction or go inside or go, whatever it is. And by having somebody that says that, it has been proven to save lives. And because people will panic and they will go the way they came. And in many situations, that's not the best route to take. So I want to get into that, probably in a later meeting. And maybe it's a separate meeting where we have some breakouts even, because some of the other stuff that needs to be talked about is not only that type of safety, but also animal safety. And state vet every year comes out with recommendations and things to look for. And we need to know what to do in each animal department, depending on, if there is an outbreak of something or a particular animal has shown up sick or gets sick, and what to do, how to do it, and who to tell. The state vet, depending on what it is, wants to know, because they want to help mitigate an extensive outbreak. So that's also an area that we need to cover. And, it becomes more and more important as people come from other areas and, other farms and coming in. So want to address that, like I say, whether it's at our next meeting or maybe a separate meeting altogether that's kind of centered around safety and emergency management. So any questions about that?
I have a question, but several years ago, Chip Taylor for the dog department, right before fair, did a safety thing for all the dog leaders. And that is, at that time, I don't know if it still is, was part of his job with whatever department of Washington State he works for. And it was really, really good. So he might be a resource and maybe even come and do it.
Okay.
You remember? I don't remember what he called it.
I can see Pierce County Emergency Management might do something like that.
Yes, and I also talked with
Situation at the fair. So it was really appropriate.
Chief Dale, and he's retiring, but he has taught FEMA courses for years and said he'd be willing to help out with any kind of training that we might need. Any other thoughts or questions on that? John's asking if we have a list of CPR certified superintendents. That's a tongue twister right there, and the answer would be no. That is a great question. Not only CPR certified, but I know that we have superintendents that are veterinarians, veterinarian techs, vet techs, also nurses and whatnot, and those are also would be a great thing to know. Rachel says, Rachel, hold on. Rachel is certified, CPR certified. Very good to know. Thank you, Rachel. And yeah, it's a good thing to have a list of. Obviously, we normally have people on the ground to the fire department and whatnot, but there's pre-fair, there's post-fair, there's during fair if it's related, or yeah. So we will have to get that list. I see Beth says one of her daughters is certified, so maybe that's a box we check on our superintendent check-in list and see who has some of those qualifications for fair time. All right, any other questions or any other topics anybody wants to bring up, talk about, or?
I do have a couple things before we leave. One is we are doing another information fair on the 20th of November here at the office. And we are looking to advertise. We will be advertising on Facebook. The 2 weeks prior, I think we have, it's either 2 or 3 ads going out. But I also have postcards, large postcards, that we'd like to get into some businesses. So anybody that's here can take them. I will be at the fair office tomorrow at 4. If someone wants to come and get some then, or if you want to meet me somewhere the next week, just email me, we can meet up. I can drop some off somewhere. We like to get these into like Subway, Starbucks, libraries, schools, if you have access to schools and they have a bulletin board. Let us help us spread the word so we can get more kids in the program. So I have them here. I'll bring them to the fairgrounds tomorrow at 4, which will be open probably till 5. And then they go into Haunted Trail. Haunted Trail is going on at Frontier Park this weekend, so come out and get spooked. Support the parks. And then I'll be on after the meeting. If anyone wants to show their card, I can set up a breakout room so we can go into the breakout rooms. Oh, and also, we are tied 1 to 1 to 1 on the committee.
We each have one. Excellent.
We have 1, so we are now 3 committees of 2. So just email me when you get a chance to serve on a committee. I also want to give superintendents a heads up for the animals, the animal barns. We'll be asking each department to supply a person for, I think it's an hour and a half a day throughout the fair, to help us in the information booth. Doesn't have to be the superintendent, doesn't have to be a club leader. It can be a senior member, it can be a parent, just someone. Yeah, just so you know, once a day. I've got the schedule worked out. And the Grange building throughout the fair. We have 4 superintendents in there. We need to have 1 superintendent in there each day. All 4 of them can be there all 4 days, but we do need to make sure a superintendent is in there all 4 days throughout the run of the fair, so that we don't end up with an empty building and nobody there to answer questions from the public. So if we can just make sure we have the superintendents in the Grange, work out amongst yourselves, let the office know who's going to be there that day. And I think that's all.
Just a side note, on the haunted headlights at the Frontier Park, it starts tomorrow, runs through Saturday, 6 to 9 p.m. And you do have to sign up on their website for a time slot. You can't just show up. So if you're interested or know somebody who might be, and you're going to tell somebody, make sure they go and sign up. And if the time slots all get full, make sure they check back, because they did mention they might open up some more if that's the case. So if you're interested, make sure you sign up for it. They won't let you just drive in. I think that's it. If there's any other questions, comments?
I have a side note, not fair related. But I have to say, Teen Rally is November 6th. Do you have any 12-year-olds to seniors that want to sign up, please get them signed up
By Friday.
by Friday, so we don't have to cancel the event.
And if you're interested in helping the 4-H Leaders Council help us build back our traditional program, they are meeting next Wednesday night. Is it? It is Wednesday, isn't it?
6 o'clock. Yeah, Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Brian's buying dinner. I'm buying Helen's Donuts. Brian may not know that he's buying dinner yet, but he's buying dinner.
And it's not pizza.
No, it can be cheap pizza.
No, no pizza.
No pizza.
What else is there?
What do we
We'll
have?
figure something out.
Or it's not cheap. Super Saturday classes, we need lots of teachers for that. Yes. Presenters, whatever you want to call it. Yep, we need about 40.
And the next superintendent's meeting is on February 28th
Here.
here and on Zoom.
Well, thank you, everybody. Make sure you email any questions, comments, concerns, as well as any information you already have for us, whether it's to be on a committee or department need, information for the timeline.
Do we just stay online if we're going to
That's all.
go into a breakout room with Mike?
Yep.
Yeah, because I thought that was.
Okay, I would like to talk to Shelley and Mike.
One
So
minute.
when do you want me to do it?
Well, I wonder if Mike could throw us in a breakout room for that.
Okay, so we just stay on this?
Yeah, stay on this and he'll send us a link for the breakout.
Okay. I just want to let you know, Shelley, that I know somebody on the Pierce County Sheriff's and on Pierce County Fire Department, a couple of people that would be more than willing to come help teach whatever we need.
Excellent. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be great because they definitely have had the training, so.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, I have to for my parents.
Yeah, the CPR as well as the crowd control training. I took it 2 years ago now. I'd love to retake it. It was very eye-opening and some facts more than I want to know, but
Right.
but it's important, you know, and they've proven that it's true. If you just have one person in the room that can give some direction,
Yes.
that people's lives are saved because they
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
think it through.
So, yeah, if you want me to set up something, just let me know and I will contact the people and we can get something set up for a weekend.
Okay.
So,
I wonder if even talk to Mike and Brian if it's something we can offer at Super Saturday. For
Oh,
the
yeah.
adults. And
Yeah,
well,
cool,
adults
too.
and older teens.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Thank you, Angela.
We're in a breakout room, so they don't echo.
I got my first shot on the 21st. 121.
Okay, you're good. Thanks. Now you just You just have to go on 4-H online and register. Yeah. Not a problem, thanks. Bye.
I have people unless they're playing that as their food or their. I think that's
Lots of feedback.
Okay, anybody else need to do vaccine verification? Any? Okay,
I do as well.
all right, I'll take Penny first. And when you go in, just show me your card, that's all I need.
Say hi. Hi.
Hi, kitty.
Yeah, I got my vaccines.
What's your kitty's name, Angela?
Huh?
What's your kitty's name?
Hold it up to the camera.
Molly. He's camera shy. Hi.
Okay, that's all I need. You're good. Oops, you're good. All right, thanks.
Get away. Take me away.
Okay, who else?
Angela? Right there.
So. The way you just stood.
That's the food.
And submitting my. No, because we haven't.
Well,
A little closer.
right now, he's slated to go from Korea to somewhere else. He doesn't want it.
Is that Johnson and Johnson?
And Moira is in flight right now.
Okay.
But. So right now. it's-
You're good. All right, I think we're through with that.
Mike, can you take Beth and I into a breakout?
Yeah,
Although we're the only ones on the screen right now, but.